I'd now like to call upon Sharman Stone, the Federal Member of Murray, to speak about the National Medal, and we'll do the medal presentations.
Thank you very much. This is a very important and a very solemn occasion with the honouring of members of the Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad with the National Medal. Australians wear medals proudly, but we don't in fact have many medals. If you've ever seen a Russian chest on display, one of their military, you'll see virtually the whole of their body of the side of their uniform covered in various medals and so on. But in Australia, we as a Commonwealth have always been very careful to make sure that medals are for very particular and important purposes, and they are certainly, in the case of the National Medal, a significant medal indeed. It was first introduced by the Commonwealth in 1975 to recognise particularly Defence Force personnel and also ambulance and another field of work, people who had been risking their lives to protect other humans or property and had served at least 15 years. And obviously a very important medal. Then there was an expansion of categories who could also receive this medal, and in 1999 that was formally acknowledged that others who'd been volunteers, who'd worked at least 15 years, in a voluntary capacity, again helping to save lives or save property, should be eligible for this medal. Now, Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad in 2007 was acknowledged as such a significant and serious rescue organisation that its members were eligible for this medal. And that indeed, as our President has acknowledged, Ross, is a very significant move and step. So this is the first awarding of national medals today to Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad members who have served at least 15 years in a capacity where their own lives have been at risk in helping to save others or property. So I'm very proud to represent the Commonwealth today in awarding these medals. I know the individuals will wear them with great pride. Some no longer are active members, but they have served their 15 years plus in earlier times with this squad. Let me also say that in Australia we're a little unique in that we do still have voluntary services at the core of whether it's firefighting or beach rescue through our life-saving clubs, through volunteering with blood donations and so on. We're still a country that believes profoundly that the government doesn't and shouldn't do everything. One, because the citizenry can do it as well, but because we want to own all of that action and not have to wait for the government to step forward. So I acknowledge my state colleagues Wendy and Jeanette, your local MPs, and Andrew McIntosh, Shadow Emergency Services spokesman, and our police here too, our fire personnel and so on. We all at the same time must acknowledge when things get really tough, like with the fires on Black Saturday, the floods we've had years ago, may we have them again someday, but years ago, it's the volunteers who step forward. And I just want to say very briefly how we've got to acknowledge that volunteers typically don't survive without a lot of other community support. And so when you see the Search and Rescue Squad, Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad, behind them are community donations of in-kind and hard cash to buy the vehicles, to do all your equipment, to keep you on the road, to help with training, the education of the population. And I'm sure some of the squad will talk more about that sponsorship. So it's not just I think about 18 individuals in the squad at the moment. It's not just those 18 individuals that leave their families, go out and often risk their own lives in difficult situations. It's a whole community of volunteering their own support. And we saw before, some of those slides showed those sponsors as well. So let me acknowledge this is a caring community, the Goulburn Valley. We are doing times tough at the moment with the drought, there's no doubt about that, but the heart and soul of this community is as strong as ever. And today, in a sense, these medals are symbols of the community and the Commonwealth saying thank you very much to some individuals. Now the medal itself is bronze. It has the coat of arms, the Australian coat of arms, on the front side. It has the crown of St Edward, Then between that and the navy and gold ribbon, which is multiple stripes, and the gold and the navy representing, of course, Australia's national colours. On the blank back is inscribed the name of the individual.
Ed Jezierski is a foundation member of the Search and Rescue Squad. He was one of the key personnel who made this happen 37 years ago, together with a number of other people. But he stayed here and helped along that whole time, 37 years. Ed's also a life member of the squad. He has been president, vice president, secretary, the equipment officer, the comms officer, and was a rescue diver many years ago. I think that the level of service that Ed has given to the squad and to the community has been absolutely exemplary, and it's a very proud day today for him, I'm sure, and for his family. The second person that I'd like to call upon is Ed's brother, Mr. Stan Jezierski. Stan joined a couple of months after the rescue squad started, a couple of years after, and has 32 years of service with the Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad, which is once again absolutely fantastic. I'm sure everybody knows the next person coming up, Mr. Gary Lovell, Lucky as we call him. Gary has 28 years service with the Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad, and is also a life member. Gary has been president, vice president, secretary, training officer. He is currently our public relations officer and has been for many years. Gary used to be a rescue diver as well. And Gary developed and started our school safety program. Gary goes out to schools and to scouts and other young people organisations, and he talks about what the rescue squad does, but he also talks about how people can be safe on the road and how kids can educate their parents on how they can be safe on the road as well. Congratulations, Gary. Mr. Hans van den Bosch. Hans has been a member of the Shepparton Search and Rescue Squad for 27 years. Hans initially joined, and then after some time he and his family moved to Queensland for a short period of time, and he left the squad. When he came back to Shepparton, he joined back with us again, obviously because he liked Ed and Stan and Gary, obviously, and helping out the community. Hans has been president, vice president, treasurer, equipment officer and training officer. Our next medal recipient is Mr. Graham Arnold. Graham served the Search and Rescue Squad for 20 years. He's a past member. Graham was the treasurer for many, many years. And was in fact the Director of Fundraising, a position which was initially put together so that we could have some very clear direction on how we were able to invest our funding, so that we could get to the point today where we can make substantial investments into our equipment and the new truck that you'll see today. Very, very important role that he played. Mr. Ken Wakefield. Ken was a member for 15 years of the Search and Rescue Squad. He served as secretary for a number of years and was the equipment officer. My understanding when he was the equipment officer, nothing ever went wrong with it. Ken took a lot of pride in making sure that our equipment was always clean, always tidy, always serviced, to ensure that we were always 100% ready. And Mr. Alan Berthistle. Alan was also a member for 15 years and is a past member now. Alan was one of those people who would just simply help out with everything. He was the equipment officer for a period of time, but was just one of those blokes who would quietly go about his business, and we definitely need the people who are prepared to stand up the front here and smile, but we need the people who are prepared to work in the background as well. Alan is our last medal recipient. I'd like to call on everyone.